We are talking about players who are influential. We talking about players that literally would the Ravens organization be the same without these four guys? It's almost like a four horsemen of sort, right? But we talking the Baltimore Ravens Mount Rushmore. Who would be on yours? Who's on mine? Let's see. What is going on, good people? Back at it again. DJ here from Flock Nation Speaks. Shout out to Flock Nation, episode 4, coming at you the Sam Cook edition. Shout out to the punter, the current punter for our Baltimore Ravens. I didn't think about it either. For episode 3, could have used Matt Stover. That's one that I think sometimes gets forgotten. Matt Stover was a good kicker, but of course, you had the Matt Stover days and you had Billy Cundiff. I think they went through a couple of kickers before they grabbed Billy Cundiff. And then, of course, everything happened with Billy Cundiff. And then, here we are, right? Here we are with, greatest of all time, Justin Tucker. But shout out to Sam Cook for the episode number 4, Flock Nation Speaks. What's going on? How y'all doing? Happy Easter Monday to you. If you are watching this on Easter Monday, maybe watching it later, I don't know. But, hope you had a good weekend. Hopefully it was a long weekend for you. Today on this show, we'll talk about a couple of things. A couple of things that came out recently with the Ravens. Myles Boykin's release. What does that mean? We'll talk about that for a little bit. And, of course, the topic of conversation, which is the Baltimore Ravens Mount Rushmore. Real quick before we get into it, I got 2 things that I want to talk to you about. But first, every NFL fan, every NBA fan, right? Every NHL fan, every fan of whatever league you may be a fan of, I want you to drop your Mount Rushmores right now. I need them in the comments, right? In the comments, I need your either NFL Mount Rushmore, NHL Mount Rushmore, or your personal team's Mount Rushmore. Especially, let's start with your personal team. If you're a Steelers fan, you can leave. No, I'm kidding. If you're a Steelers fan, drop your Steelers Mount Rushmore, right? Browns fans, right? Patriots fans, right? I just want to, I want to see other people's opinions too on this whole thing, that we call a Mount Rushmore. Like, what does it mean? I got this idea from doing the Instant Classic Wrestling podcast, another podcast that I host. That's all about wrestling, of course. And we were doing a Mount Rushmore. We did tag teams, we did singles competitors and all that. And I was like, a Baltimore Ravens Mount Rushmore. That's so interesting to me. Like to think about who are some of the more influential people when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like, who are those guys who are like, what? They gotta be on the Baltimore, they gotta be on the Mount Rushmore. But then, of course, there's some that I think at the same time you'd have to come in and you'd have to debate a little bit, right? You'd have to kind of debate some, I think, a little bit too. Like, I think, of course, one of the guys that comes to mind is, of course, our guy, with Joe and everything. Does he deserve to be on it? Does he not? I don't want to talk about it too much real quick because, of course, I got, plenty to talk about. I want to talk about the Myles Boykin news. And, I think they, with Tyler Huntley, too, being signed as a short-term tender. But I want to talk about Myles Boykin because that was just one of those things that really, I was like, such a loss of potential there. But first things first, our I'm gonna call it unnecessary debates, right? Our unnecessary debate of the day, but just to have a little fun to start the show, little icebreaker, little polar bear action with the icebreaker. Y'all don't know that joke, okay? Little icebreaker for y'all, because I mean this one right here, last week it was Coke or Pepsi, and I got a lot of people to comment on it. It was like, what y'all thought, what you mean, bro? What you mean with that? You don't, but today, I want to know, how do y'all stack y'all's Lunchables? I recently had a Lunchable for the first time in probably 10 years, right? I mean, since I was 12 years old, so that's 15 years. Oh man, I had a Lunchable for the first time, and I saw this on Facebook actually, and I was like, wait a minute, right? You telling me people really stack their ham or bologna underneath that cheese? Like that don't make any sense, right? I don't understand. Like I don't get it. I'm telling y'all, this gets me hyped up for the show. I don't think y'all understand how much I enjoy doing this. Is fun. How do you? I gotta know. How do you? How do you stack your Lunchable? Because like I saw somebody talking about how if people stack their Lunchable the way I do it, which is cracker, cheese, ham, right? I like the ham ones personally. Cracker, cheese, ham, then you are a psychopath. And I was like, you trying to tell me that I want sticky gums from the cheese being on top? No. And then a reliable source of mine, I thought I could trust this person. They gonna tell me, they gonna sit here. I ain't gonna say no names because I don't want y'all go into the comment section. I don't want y'all trying to find this person. They gonna come at me and talk about, well, if you think that the cheese sticks to your gums, right? If you think the cheese sticks to your gums, then so does the cracker. I was like, this is not an argument. Like, no, you got to eat the cracker regardless. The cheese sticks to your gums, is uncomfortable. You got to go floss afterwards. No, we don't need that. I'm telling y'all, it is cracker, right? Then we start with the bottom. Now we here. Cracker, cheese, ham. That's it. Like, there's no other way to do it because the rest of the ways that y'all talking about, y'all crazy. Y'all is crazy. In the comment section, I don't know. We'll figure it out. In the comment section, I need you to leave. While you leaving your Mount Rushmore, because I need that, right? I need you to do that. While you leaving your Mount Rushmore, I also need you to leave. How do you stack your Lunchables? I need to know. How are y'all doing this? Because I need to know how many of y'all I got to block before the next episode. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I got to know how y'all do this. Because if y'all crazy, we going to have... I'm gonna have to block y'all. I'm gonna have to just we're gonna have to get you tested. We're gonna have to make sure that you is good. We're gonna have to make sure that you are, you there. We gotta make sure because y'all crazy, man. Y'all crazy. All right, to the real conversation. After the unnecessary debate, I'll probably spend about 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes on the unnecessary debate a week, just to have a little fun, break the ice with y'all guys, especially for some of y'all that are new and y'all like, I don't even know, is this dude credible? I'm gonna give y'all some credible topics, okay? I'm gonna give y'all some credibility. All right, okay. But anyway, real quick, also want to tell you, YouTube, you can watch, you can listen, and also you can watch on Spotify as well, and listen to on Apple Podcasts. So, be sure that wherever you want to get connected, you be sure you get connected. I am on Twitter. You can find me, Flock Nation Speaks. I am on TikTok at Flock Nation Speaks. Just posted some clips, little things here and there. So, first off, let's start with this Myles Boykin topic. I want to talk about this because today was finally the day where Myles Boykin got released, right? Myles Boykin got released, and I'm sitting here thinking, what a waste of potential. I felt like, I felt like it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, this is kind of a waste of potential. Did you really take the time to give Myles Boykin everything that he needed? Right? Did Myles Boykin get everything that he was supposed to get out of this Ravens experience? And I don't really know if he did, right? I don't really know if he did. I don't know if Myles Boykin got the true opportunities that he deserved. But today, as of what is it? August 18th. August. Wow. I'm skipping all through the year. April 18th, Myles Boykin is no longer a Raven. And it's kind of like, dang, like the wasted potential that we saw with Myles Boykin, because Myles Boykin is one of those guys who it felt like he was going to be one of those guys where maybe they might try to switch him to tight end. Right. And I felt like if there was any opportunity to switch Myles Boykin to tight end, it was going to be right here, right now. Simply because when you think about Myles Boykin, right, they had the whole offseason to try to do it. If that was something that they wanted to do, they didn't use him last year, barely at all. They used him. Of course, he started, a couple years ago. How crazy things can get in a year. So, and they drafted Bateman, so things got a little different, right? They drafted Bateman, and the pressure was on Myles Boykin, but he didn't even really get to see the light of day last year. So that was a big thing too. Like, what what is going on, right? Like, what is happening? Like, why is it that Myles Boykin is not getting the opportunities? And then, a lot of people said route running was an issue. I stay in a lot of the Ravens community spaces and stuff like that. And a lot of people said, route running, he was a great blocker, but route running was his main issue. Cause I don't think necessarily his hands were a terrible issue per se. But the Ravens have had issues with drops for a while now. So it's kind of hard to say, but I mean, for me with Myles Boykin, my biggest thing is this. I think they could have converted him to tight end for the simple fact, I think they could have converted my guy to tight end for the simple fact that he's already tall, right? You'd have to bulk him up about 20 pounds. And and we ain't talking about bulking me up 20 pounds and expecting me to go catch footballs after I ain't caught a football since the 8th grade, right? Like, we're not talking about that. We talking about a guy who's a professional athlete, made it to the NFL, has scored touchdowns, has millions of dollars to spend on a diet coach, and so does the organization. Like, if the organization really want to go into it, put him on a diet plan, bulk him up, have him ease him into tight end this season, right? While you got Mark Andrews, right, top 2 tight end, right? And then at the same time, you got Nick Boyle coming back. You can ease Myles Boykin into that, and then if route running is really truly an issue for him, let him be the jump ball guy, right? One of those things that for some reason the Ravens just won't do. They won't do the jump ball thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the jump ball and the Ravens. They will not do it. They're not doing the jump ball. They ain't doing the go high pointed and go catch. Nah, they ain't doing that. They ain't doing that. They're not doing that. So I don't know. I feel like Boykin was kind of like wasted potential, man. That's where my frustration comes in with Myles Boykin. He was wasted potential. Like, I feel like I don't, and I was talking about this before when I saw like, DK maybe being interested in the Ravens or whatever, and other receivers that might be interested in the Ravens. Like, it's like you can never have too much. We can potential, these guys got all the potential in the world, the Proches of the world, the Duvernays of the world, right? Even with Hollywood, right? You can say they got all the potential in the world. That's great. But at the end of the day, are they being used to that potential? Are they being used in a way that's going to show that potential? I mean, like I said, I like Myles Boykin, and I wish he would have got a couple more chances, especially in the red zone, especially when it came to doing what he needed to do. I wish he would have got a couple more chances, but he just never did. Let's jump into this Mount Rushmore. The Ravens Mount Rushmore. I'm so excited about this. Y'all understand? Like, I'm so excited to do this Ravens Mount Rushmore, man. I've been also, and I got a list of like other like influential players for the Ravens, like just so I can kind of be like, okay, let's see, right? Let's see who else stacks up, right? Because I mean, I think there's a definitely a list of players, probably 6, 7, 8 players that could go on this list, that could be possibly one of those players that you like, dang, like, okay, he might deserve to be on this list. And I think there's some players of the future that also could deserve to be on this list, right? There are some players when it comes down to it that you like, okay, this player could be on this list right now. Like, I can see it. Like, I can see this person being on the list, or that running back, or that wide receiver, right? Okay, maybe not wide receiver. Okay, we ain't gonna talk about that. All right, let's jump into it, right? First one on the list. I think this one is obvious, right? I think this one is obvious. Make sure I pull up the right one and not spoil nothing for you, right? Ray Lewis, right? I think Ray Lewis definitely deserves to be on the Ravens Mount Rushmore. You really, like, literally, if there's one guy who you can't think of the Ravens without thinking of, is Ray Lewis, right? Ray Lewis is that guy, right? Ray Lewis is that guy. He is the guy who, when you think about the Baltimore Ravens, when you think about the purple and black, you thinking about Ray Lewis and the way he hit and everything like that. Like, the leadership that he brought. Like, Ravens still to this day trying to find somebody who stands up to the leadership that Ray Lewis possesses, right? So Ray Lewis is that guy, right? Ray Lewis is the guy who you're like, man, like I'm telling you, if I'm thinking about the Ravens as an organization, Ray Lewis is going to come to mind, right? Ray Lewis right here is going to come to mind. I'm going to think, okay, Ray, that, that's got to be the one, right? That's got to be the one. All right. Then, and I mean, he's got the accolades. He's a Hall of Famer. Like there's literally not many reasons why you would say Ray Lewis wouldn't be. I don't think anybody would disagree that Ray Lewis deserves to be on the Ravens Mount Rushmore list. Like it's just one of those things where you like, okay, yeah, of course, he deserves it. Now, let's take a look at the next one, right? I think these go hand in hand, right? These go hand in hand, guys. I'm telling y'all. They go hand in hand. So these go hand in hand. These two, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, that defense, especially the one from the 2000s when they won the Super Bowl, but ever since then, like that's the reason why the Ravens are the type of team that they are. Their defense. That's why they are the type of team that they are. Both of these guys, two-time Super Bowl champions. You got Ray Lewis, that was a Super Bowl MVP, right? At the defensive, on the defensive end, that don't happen very often, especially nowadays. So to win that, defensive player of the years, of course, with Ray Lewis, Ray Lewis, I think, speaks for himself. Ed Reed does too. Ed Reed thought he was the best safety in the game. I always thought Ed Reed was the best safety in the game. And I think honestly, there wouldn't be any true comparison to Ed Reed if he didn't play in the same era as Troy Polamalu. Like I think those two just battle back and forth for best safety just because of how talented they were. They were that good. It was such fun football to watch those two play, man. I definitely enjoyed watching Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu kind of play their little defensive chess. It's and just the greatness of those defenses too. The greatness of those defenses on both sides. I loved it. We got five-time All-Pro, right? First team. We got 9 Pro Bowls. The All 2000s decade team. He's of course in the Ring of Honor with Ray Lewis too. Hall of Famer too. So it's just like can't say nothing bad about Ed Reed either. He was a beast. Ed was a beast, deserves to be on this list because, you don't think about the Ravens either without thinking of Ed Reed. You just don't. You just don't. Like, I think that's just how this list is. Like, I think there's other, like, I think the last spot on this list can be almost debated in a way, right? But I think the first 3 that I'm going to name, and I'll go ahead and bring up the next one too. Right, the first 3 I'm gonna name: Jonathan Ogden, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. Right, you can't say the Baltimore Ravens without them. Jonathan Ogden was the first pick for the Ravens. That they had when they moved. In '96. So like Jonathan Ogden is always gonna be a cog in the Ravens wheel. Right, he gonna be. You're gonna always think of Jonathan Ogden when it comes to you thinking about the Baltimore Ravens. The dude was a beast. He was a mauler, opening up the lanes for Jamal Lewis. When Jamal came in, man, that team, just to think about the talent of it was pretty ridiculous, right? Like when you really think about it, he was on the NFL 2000s All Decade team, right? Of course, he won a Super Bowl in 2000. 4-time All Pro, what I mean? Ring of Honor, of course, too. Ogden was a beast, man. I remember watching Ogden. I've watched of course, some of Ogden a little bit more now than I have before because I wasn't a huge football fan. When the Ravens, of course, I was 1 year. I was 1 when the Ravens, joined the league. But at the same time, I wasn't a big football fan until probably like the McNair days. Really, really Bowler. I would say with Bowler too. I probably, I was a big fan too when he was there. The last one on the list might be a little controversial just because I think there's a couple of guys that you could put on the list. I mean, I think it, even just looking at the greatest players of all time for the Ravens, right? You got guys like Jamal Lewis, right? Todd Heat was another one who was really good for the Ravens, a really good tight end. I mean, I think Mark Andrews might be overtaking him at this point, but Jamal Lewis with the 2,000-yard season, I mean, the only Ravens running back to post a 2,000-yard season was Jamal Lewis, right? You got T Sizzle, right? Of course, Joe Flacco, you can't forget him too, right? You got T Sizzle, was another one who was instrumental in the Ravens Steelers rivalry, man. Instrumental. Like, you can't say Baltimore Ravens, Steelers rivalry without T Sizzle. And I think he's another one of those guys where, you probably don't think about the Ravens without thinking about T Sizzle either, I mean, those was fun times, man. That defense, man, that defense was just ridiculous. But y'all know me, man. Joe Flacco got to go on this list, right? Joe Flacco got to go on this list. And some people, right? Some people, gonna say, "Oh, he's a one-year wonder." He wasn't never consistent in the regular season and all this. Like, some people gonna say that, but for me, this a guy who really came out here and brought consistency at the position that the Ravens had never seen. And I think that's crucial. I think that's important, right? I think the consistency that Joe Flacco gave to the position of quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens is crucial. The all-time passing leader right now, I do think that Lamar probably will pass him. And it makes me wonder if he didn't win the Super Bowl in 2011, would it would have been more of a discussion, like Jamal Lewis over him. Like, I just think Joe was one of the top offensive options for the Ravens. The Ravens ain't got a lineage of great offenses until recently, right? So I feel like Joe is not always thought of because he didn't put up 4,000, 5,000 yard seasons because, I mean, the Ravens had a top running attack. You can't be a run first team. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. You can't be a run first team and have top passing numbers too. It's hard to do unless the quarterback is running with the ball because he's in control of all of that. So for me, Joe Flacco was the last one on the list, right? Joe Flacco was the last one on the list. And I think it's debatable with him and Jamal Lewis is another one, even Sizzle, but I think, the offense does deserve a little bit of love for what they did on that playoff run. Some people might want to throw in maybe a Bolden for some of his big plays in there too. Maybe a Ray Rice, right? Especially if things turned out a little differently and he stayed with the Ravens, might be a little bit different, conversation too. But that is my Ravens Mount Rushmore. Right? Joe Flacco, Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis. What is your Ravens? And for my Flock Nation, what is your Ravens Mount Rushmore? Also for the rest of the NFL fans, what is your team's Mount Rushmore? Be sure to give us a like, comment on the video as well. Give me your Mount Rushmore below. I definitely can't wait to hear it. For all the avenues, of course, that you can listen to us, watch us, and all that good stuff. You can listen to us, watch us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Be sure to check us out. We'll see you guys on that next one. Until next time, it's been Flock Nation Speaks.